Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here. Welcome back to the channel for another update on Kadena, the next position of strength, and also the next trade has finally presented itself. It's been about 2 weeks since we did our last update. If you remember, I told you a couple of price targets, starting off with the head and shoulders. It looks like we came down and hit this price target on the head, 84 cent. I did tell you, however, that I wasn't going to be shorting, and I was sitting on the sidelines waiting for the position of strength. The position of strength is here, so let's dive right into this. Now, this is where I left you off, over on the 13th of November. I recorded the video, I think we were trading at 94, 95 cent or so, and as you can see, we broke down about 17.5% before pinging all the way back up to about 110, 111, 112 on most exchanges, which was a 39% pump. Now, this is exactly why I told you I would not be shorting. I told you I short from a position of strength when positions of strength reveal themselves. Now, these positions of strength are often presented in a reversion to the mean. If you don't know what a reversion to the mean is, it's basically where you revert back to the mean price. Now, that could be a trend line, that could be a moving average, or it could be a set of moving averages like the EMA ribbons. Over here, you can see boom, we reverted back into the EMA ribbons, broke down, reverted back into EMA ribbons, broke down, reverted back into EMA ribbons, broke down, and this is actually the last trade that we had for Kadena over at 135 and 140. I told you I was shorting on a 10x leverage, and both of those trades went into about 2.8x profit, so collectively we had a 5x on these two trades that we were running for Kadena. And what are we doing right now? Well, since we came down to our price target, the head and shoulders, 84 cent, we haven't come down to the volume profiles yet. What did we do? We pushed to the upside. Let's find our volume profiles and see what really happened. Now, bear in mind, over on the Bittrex chart, this one looks a little bit tricky. Trading Kadena can be a little bit choppy sometimes. On most exchanges, we went down to 79 cent and then pushed up to 111, 112. However, when you're looking at Bittrex, which is my favorite chart to kind of track things in the macro for Kadena, I said we went all the way down to 30 cent and then all the way back up to $1.30. But nonetheless, we actually came up to this level, you know, 110 or so. So if we look at what happened, where did we run into for Kadena? Let's mark the 110 so we're not getting confused by anything. We reverted back to the top of this range. As you can see, we had a low, boom, right here. And if we pull this box out, you can see this blue line here. This is a relatively small and insignificant volume profile, but a volume profile slightly bigger than the ones above it nonetheless. So we went up, grabbed liquidity, and as we have now grabbed liquidity, we've reverted back to the mean. I'm going to let you know when I'm going to be shorting from and what leverage I'm going to be shorting from in a second, but as we are basically in this mean area, as we're getting ready for the next trade, let's look at the oscillators and see how quickly can we actually expect this next move back down to the downside. So starting off on the MFI, one reason why I'm not shorting at this very moment in time is because we haven't reverted back to the mean trend line in terms of the money flow index. Now, it's also kind of here, I mean, you can see it over on the EMA ribbons. It is a little bit tricky, a little bit risky in my opinion if you are shorting from the short-term moving average on the EMA ribbons. Why? Well, look over here. We reverted back into the EMA ribbons, but we broke above the long-term moving average. We reverted in the EMA ribbons just above the long-term moving average. Here, we kind of approach about the heart line of the EMA ribbons, probably to like the 35 or 40 EMA, and then over here you can see we reverted to the top, we reverted just above the top of the long-term moving average. So hypothetically, let's say you enter a 10x short from the short-term moving average here. What's going to happen if you come up to the long-term moving average? You're going to get liquidated as we approach this 110, 111, 112 line. So in terms of the oscillators, yes, we're completely overextended, and I think you're going to be completely fine if you're using a 3x leverage, but I don't like shorting from a position. I don't like shorting from a position of weakness. I like shorting from a position of strength. So hopefully Kadena can push up to the price target that I'll let you know in just 1 second, and that is when I'm going to be putting in my next short. But like I said, look at the money flow index. In the higher time frames, you're literally about to approach this line and get smacked down to the downside. Is it possible that we could literally revert right now and never touch this trend line? It's definitely possible. Is it also possible for us to push up another 10, 15 cent before getting rocketed down? It is absolutely possible. I personally don't think that we are going to push up a little bit further, and I'll talk about why in terms of the economic data, what's going on in the stock market in a second, all the boring things that I know altcoin holders don't want to hear, but these do heavily impact the markets. So back to the oscillators. Let's look at the stock RSI. Let's now, actually I'm going to keep the MFI here for just a second. Let's look at the stock RSI. Where is the stock RSI? Round about 93. When have the previous time, what happened the previous times when we exceed this 80 80 line? Well, you can see right here, we hit 94, we broke down 25%. The next time we pushed up, we hit 82, we broke down 20%. What happened the next time? We approached 95 and we broke down 43%. Now, it's also pretty much the same story that you can see over here on the MFI. In fact, on the MFI, it was even more brutal. From this peak over here at 64, this correlates to this exact peak up here. We broke down 46%. If we look at the previous peak, once again, it topped out with the stock RSI, broke down 20%. If you look at the next peak, we kind of just hit the heart line here and started rolling down. But once again, about a 25% drop. So when you are looking at these regions, I'm wholeheartedly saying it is possible that we could push up a tiny bit more, but it's not looking too likely. It looks like in terms of the oscillators, we've completely topped out. Now, let's get rid of these so we can focus on the squeeze momentum indicator. We are steadily approaching the heart line and still in a bearish trend. What's happened the last few times we've approached the heart line? Boom, right here. We rolled down 46%. Boom, we reverted back to the mean. We broke down 20%. Boom, we reverted back to the mean and pushed just slightly bullish. And boom, we broke down about 25%. So it looks like on the squeeze momentum indicator, just like all of the other oscillators we're looking at, they're telling us, hey, if you're entering a short right now, you need to be a little bit careful because we can push up 10-15%. And if you're using high leverage, you're going to wipe yourself out. But in the macro picture, we're at this level where we've reverted back to the mean. This is what makes us successful traders on YouTube. Every trade we've ever posted has been 100% in the profit. And this is because we're very happy to sit on the sidelines for 2 weeks. There's no point in doing KDATA every single day. And we're just waiting for this position of strength to present itself. So where am I going to be shorting from? Well, I'm going to be shorting, boom, right here, approximately at, not approximately, precisely at $1.12. If we manage to push up to this long-term moving average, I will be putting in a 3x short. Now, why a 3x and not a 10x short? Because we've got some significant ranges up here, which we've previously reverted to up at 140. What happens if I enter a 3x short up at 112? Well, let's see what happens if we do come up to the top of this range. Worst case scenario, I will not be liquidated. We'd need to push up a tiny bit more. My liquidation price would be approximately at 150 or so. So a 3x short is going to be completely fine in my opinion. If we come up to this level, as you know, if you do watch the channel, I'm an extremely conservative trader. I do not like to get ahead of myself and I don't like to lose. I'm happy to sit on the sideline until these amazing trades present themselves. And this, in my opinion, is the next extremely profitable trade for KDA. Just look at the volume that came in. Just look at the volume. This is absolutely obscene. And this is why, once again, when we did look at this money flow index, wow, yeah, the money that came in on Bybit was much more euphoric than other exchanges. But, you know, in general, looking at, you know, a mean picture of the exchanges, MFI again, boom, we are at really, really overextended levels. We're basically back in this trend line, if not already back in it. So, you know, this volume overextension is absolutely nothing to play with. We've almost reverted to the mean. If we push up to 112, I will be entering another 3x short. Let's look at the higher time frames. We looked at the lower time frames. I want to let you know once again, where are my macro price targets? Where are we moving down to next? Now, let's start off on the Heikin-Ashis on the weekly. But before we look at the Heikin-Ashis, come over to the Japanese candlesticks. The Japanese candlesticks on the weekly time frame have just finally started to switch back to red. If this continues to push down, we could have a red-green-red formation, which is a bearish continuation pattern. As you can see, this also, I did not see this until just 1 second ago. Give me uno momento, por favor, and boom, flag, boom, or pole rather, and flag right here. You've got a beautiful bearish pennant. I'm sure we could draw it a little bit more crisp if we wanted to on the 4-hour time frame, but you get the gist of this. You can see this pattern. Momentum indicators, let's see what the lower time frames are saying for this money flow index. Yeah, we topped out and started to break down. It looks like we're getting a tiny bounce off the floorboards. Squeeze momentum indicator. We've already started the bearish trend, and as you can see, it can get a lot worse from here. Let's get rid of this. Stock RSI, where are we on the stock? Lower time frames, boom. Stock RSI is at pretty low levels right now. And like I said, I mean, this is why I'm saying, hey, you know, I'd much prefer to short from a position of strength. I'm going to let you know why we might not actually be able to short from that position of strength, because the markets are so brutal. But like we said, come back over to the weekly. We have now started this new red trend on the Japanese candlestick. So Why do I mention that we've started a new red trend on Japanese candlesticks? Well, because in the higher time frames, this is probably a signal that we should be getting ready to roll back down. Like we said, look in the markets, red, green. Red formation, massive meltdown. Over here, this was red, green, green, so this doesn't count. This was green, red, green, so a green, red, green is a bullish one. As you can see, perfect example over here. Another one, red, green, red, boom, broke down to the downside. This was two greens in the middle of the sandwich, so this one was not valid. But as you can see, another red, green, red. These beautifully play out. Higher time frames, I mean, yeah, we looked at the 4-hour time frame and it says we could push up a little bit more, and now's not the time to short. But higher time frames, like I said, if you're being conservative, a 3x short round the top of the EMA ribbons is going to be a beautiful opportunity. So momentum starting to kick down on the weekly time frame. We're starting to flip bearish, and on the Heikin-Ashis, it's like nothing's changed. We've basically been melting through the floorboards for ages now, and on the monthly, we don't even, yeah, I mean, there's been one green monthly candle, but just look at this. I mean, there has been no time to be bullish for KDA in this, entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. So yeah, I mean, just look at this. The continuation is no joke. Let's look at the volume. Wow, we've got a bearish engulfing candle engulfing over the previous 2 candle bodies. And as you can see, we had a bearish engulfing candle here, and we got a lot of continuation. So markets are not looking strong right now. Where's the next place that KDA is going to go down to then? So, we looked at the volume profiles a second ago and we highlighted this cluster. We said, hey, this is the 112. On most charts, we pushed up to 112. This one got a little bit over exuberant, especially to the downside as well here. But you can see, boom, volume profile, boom, drag this over. We grabbed liquidity. I mean, look at this. Right up wick here, 112, grab that liquidity. Also retested the floor of the previous bear market low that we established 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. We're reverting back to the price from 2 months ago, which is, like I'm saying, this reversion to the mean is going to be a great trade in my opinion. So where's the next level to the downside? Let's look at the volume profiles, because in terms of our higher time frame, I mean, we've hit most of our TA patterns now, head and shoulders. If we hit that the other day and come over to the volume profiles, boom, this is the next area of support at 89 cent. We've already dropped through that floor before, so we need a new price target. Well, I say new price target. If you're a veteran of the channel, you would have heard this one for a while. The next level to the downside is 69 cent. Now, how quickly do you think we're going to be coming from this, 92 cent region down to 69 cent? I think it's probably going to take about a week or two. I think this is going to be extremely quick. Why is that? Well, look at where we're trading right now. We're trading approximately at 92 cent at this line here. Let me make this thicker. Ding, boom, green to market where we are, and let's look at this. So let's actually clear this up. Let's get rid of these volume profiles just for a second. So how much time have we spent trading around this range? Well, we've basically spent naught. We've basically spent no time trading here whatsoever. Back when Kadena started trading, or when it started listing on exchanges around here, August the 20th, boom, we had one touch on it. We probably spent a day here and then rocketed down to lower levels. On the weekly time frame, you can see, boom, we rocketed above it, spent about 4 or 5 weeks consolidating between 133 down to the level that we're at right now, and then you can see what happens when we drop to the floorboards of this. We didn't establish a range, we just rocketed down to lower levels, and when we passed it, we just rocketed back up again. So we have, it's going to be a pretty quick drop from where we are at this moment in time down to the next volume cluster, which is round about 69 cent again. So from where we are at this moment in time, it's looking like KDA wants to drop down to the next volume profile at approximately 69 cent again. This is going to equals about a 26% drop. So like I said, I'm personally not shorting now. Could you make a ton of profit if you do short now? Yes. If we do pump up another 10% and come up to the long-term moving average in the EMA ribbons, you will get liquidated, which is why I'm saying I'm going to be a little bit conservative on this one. I don't chase trades. I let trades come to me. I sit in a position of strength and I say, hey, if the trade comes up to this level and it hits it, brilliant. If it doesn't, I'm not going to chase the trade. That is how I operate in these markets. Do not go chasing trends. You will get absolutely slaughtered. And also, make sure you're shorting from a position of strength. Like we said in the previous video, Yes, we went down 17%, but I said it's pretty risky if you're shorting at these levels. And, you know, what did you know? We had a massive, massive run back up to 110, and we're once again getting presented with another reversion to the mean. The next trade is literally right on our doorstep, my friends. And if we do manage to come up to my trade entry up here, it's going to be a 39% drop down to the downside, which on a 3x leverage is going to equate to about a 1.17x. So you would just double your money if we do come down to this volume profile. Now, is there another way that you can make a trade without us coming up to the top of this range? Well, yes, there technically is, and this is where a lot of the altcoin people are probably going to switch off, because here I go, I'm going to be talking about economic data and the stock market. But this is all extremely important. We just had US GDP quarter over quarter come in at 4.3%, and it was previously clocking in at 9%. We've just had a 4.7% drop in US GDP, the largest drop in the past 5 years. I'm not going to talk a whole bunch about what's going on in the stock market. If you do want to know my thoughts on the stock market, I do cover the stock market on this channel, so go check out my videos. And why am I highlighting this? The last time we had extremely bearish economic data, Jerome Powell came out, that was Jackson Hole, and the economy, well, more clearly the or more precisely, the equity market absolutely went on a run to the downside. The dollar went on a massive run to the upside, and of course, Bitcoin, Kadena, Solana, all of your altcoins massively ran to the downside. So why am I saying this? We've got bearish economic data, and Powell is speaking today. There is a very, very high likelihood that Powell comes out with an extremely hawkish stance on monetary policy, and the DXY starts tearing faces and rushing to the upside. And also you'd be able to see the S&P 500 rush to the downside. If that does happen, my friends, shorting from roundabout the level that we're at right now, 92 cent, 91 cent, might not be a bad choice. I would highly recommend you do not use anything higher than a 3x leverage. Kadena is very, very volatile, very knee-jerky, and I honestly think if you're using a 10x leverage, it can get extremely dangerous, unless you're really shorting from a position of strength. Like I said, you know, the last two trades we did 10x leverage up here, but we had a huge, huge rally and reverted back to the mean. And, you know, from down here, you know, a 3x leverage is really what makes the most sense to me. So I'll let you know if I do consider any trades for KDA. If you do want to follow more of my trades when I'm away from the keyboard, because I do have a life outside of these markets, of course, I'm not sitting at home on my PC all day. I do have times where I'm out and about on my phone and I see something very important like this happen in the market, and as you know, these markets move very, very quickly. Often I don't have time to rush back home, record a YouTube video, or I'll be doing something. So I'll let you know what's happening and what my next trade is over on my Discord. So if you do want that, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, click on the About, and come down to my links. I've got my Twitter, Discord, Instagram, and official merch all linked down below if you do want to come join. But like I said, my friends, if nothing else changes and we do manage to push up to this $1.12 region, I am going to be opening the next short for Bitcoin. And like I said, if we are lucky enough that Powell comes out with an extremely hawkish stance on monetary policy, if you do want to be privy of when this comes out, this is also something that you can find out over on my Twitter. Like I said, I post a lot of things over on my Twitter, you know, on-chain metrics threads, I post economic data, I post memes, I've got a good amount of everything. So if you do want to come and follow me at 618_cowboy, I'll let you know if anything important happens, and subsequently, if the next speech from Powell is going to dump the stock market, pump the dollar, dump Bitcoin, which has just reverted back to the mean, just like KDA, and of course, dump KDA in the process. This is all I've got for you for this video, my friends. Like I said, the next trade is here, the next reversion to the mean is here. It's all I've got for you for this video. If you do enjoy the content, as always, my friends, please help me to get these videos trending. YouTube loves when you engage with them. All you need to do, like, comment, share the videos with your friends. That's all I ask. Anyway, that's all I've got for you for this update. As always, Cowboy out. Peace.